Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue is an on-island suburb located at the western tip of the island of Montreal in southwestern Quebec, Canada. It is the second oldest community in Montreal's West Island, having been founded as a parish in 1703. The oldest, Dorval, was founded in 1667. Points of interest include the Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue Canal, the Sainte-Anne Veterans Hospital, the Morgan Arboretum, and the 3 nature parks transferred from Pierrefonds-Sainteville. Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue is also home to John Abbott College and McGill University's MacDonald campus, which includes the J.S. Marshall Radar Observatory and the Canadian Aviation Heritage Centre, as well as about 2 square kilometres of farmland which separates the small town from neighbouring Bay d'Urfé. History. Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue was established on a location once known and frequented by both the Algonquin and Iroquois peoples. Situated between 2 important lakes and near the confluence of 2 important rivers, both nations recognized its natural strategic advantages and had names for the place. The oral records show that it was named Teotihuacán by the Algonquin, which means place of the last encampments, and that the Iroquois called it Scanawet, meaning white waters, after the rapids. In 1663, the St. Louis Mission was originally founded in the west end of Montreal Island at Pointe Caron, and was led by François Saturnine Lascaris d'Urfé. At that time, the mission included the entire area from the tip of Montreal Island to Pointe Claire, Isle Perrot, Soulanges, Vaudreuil, and Îlot Tortoise. In 1672, King Louis XIV of France granted fiefdoms bordering on Lake of Two Mountains and Lake St. Louis to Louis de Berthet, Lord of Chailly, and to his brother Gabriel, Lord of La Jubadière. One of these adjacent fiefdoms was called Bellevue, due to its good views to the east and west. In 1677, the parish of Saint Louis du Bas de l'Île, sometimes also called Saint Louis du Haut de l'Île, was founded. Jean de Lalande was the first church warden. 1 September 30, 1687, Lalande and 4 other parishioners were killed in a skirmish with the Iroquois. In 1703, the parish was closed and its registers moved to Lachine because of the constant threat from the Iroquois. Around 1712, René Charles de Breslay, local parish priest from 1703 to 1719, got caught in a fierce snowstorm. He fell from his horse, broke his leg on the ice, and lost the horse. Breslay was allegedly saved through the intervention by Saint Anne, after which he built a chapel dedicated to her at the westernmost point of Montreal Island next to Fort Senville and Tortoise Island. 2 years later, the parish was re-established and took the name Sainte-Anne-du-Bas de l'Île. From the early 1800s, the town became a place of literary pilgrimage after Thomas Moore, the famous Irish composer, wrote one of his most celebrated works, Canadian Boat's Song Here. In 1835, the local post office opened. In 1843, the Sainte Anne Canal was completed, resulting in a large amount of travelers and merchants passing through the village. Another impetus to its development came a few years later in 1854, when the Grand Trunk Railway was built through the area, followed by the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1887. In 1845, the place was first incorporated as the municipality of Bas de l'Isle. This was abolished 2 years later, but in 1855, it was re-established as the parish municipality of Sainte-Anne-en-l'Isle de Montréal. In 1878, the main settlement was incorporated as a separate village municipality, and the parish municipality was renamed to Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue that same year. The village municipality changed its status to town on January 12, 1895. The early 20th century saw several developments in Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue. The MacDonald College was established in 1907. The federal government built St. Anne's Veteran Hospital in 1917. The Gallipo Bridge was built in 1924 and doubled in 1964, linking Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue with Perrot Island. One of Canada's earliest garden city experiments was undertaken in Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue by John James Harpel, an industrialist, who around 1918 developed the 10 acres neighborhood of Gardenvale. The neighborhood was granted its own post office in 1920. In 1911, the parish municipality lost part of its territory when Baie-de-Fay became a separate municipality. In 1964, the town of Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue annexed the parish municipality. On January 1, 2002, as part of the 2002 to 2006 municipal reorganization of Montreal, Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue was merged into the city of Montreal and became part of the borough of Lily-Bizard-Sainte-Geneviève-Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue. However, after a change of government and a 2004 referendum, it was reconstituted as an independent city on January 1, 2006. Climate. Government. The current mayor of Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue is Paul Lahouer. There are 6 city councillors: Dana Chevalier, Ryan Young, Indri Deschamps, Dan Boyer, Michel Boudreau, Yvan Lebel. List of mayors. The former mayor of Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue were Jules Tremblay (1878–1879), Thomas Grenier (1880–1884), 1885–1886. Antoine Street Dennis, 1881–1883, D. Lebeau, 1887, L. Michaud, 1888–1897, M.C. Besna, 1898–1899, 1901–1905, 1909–10, 1915, 1916, LNF. Cyperhort, 1900, 1921, 1922, J.A. Almays, 1906, GUIs, Doust, 1906, 1917–1920, Bruno Lalonde, 1907, 1908, 1913, 1914, J.S. Valley, 1911, 1912, L.J. Boileau, 1923–1931, 1933, 1934, A.R. Dimas, 1932, 1935–1938, E. Deslorius, 1939–1951, Philippe Godin, 1951–1965, J.L. Paquin, 1965–1973, Alphonse Trudeau, 1973–1978, Marcel Marlot, 1978–1984, René Martin, 1984–1994, Bill Tierney, 1994–2001, 2005–2009, Francis D. Roux, 2009–2013. Demographics. In the city, the population was spread out with 18.5% under the age of 15, 10.4% from 15 to 24, 33.0% from 25 to 44, 17.5% from 45 to 64, and 20.8% who were 65 years of age or older. The median age was 38 years. For every 100 females there were 112.8 males. For every 100 females age 15 and over, there were 116.8 males. There were 1,930 households, out of which 29.8% had children living with them, 40.7% were married couples living together, 7.3% had a female lone parent as a householder, and 30.6% of all households were made up of individuals. The average married couple family size was 3.1. Christians made up 79.4% of the population, or 61.7%, Catholic, 16.5%, Protestant, 0.9% Eastern Orthodox, and 0.3% other Christian. Other religions in the city include 3.3% Muslim, 1.3% Jewish, 1.3% Eastern religions, and 0.3% other religions. 14.1% of the population claimed to have no religious affiliation. The median income for a household in the city was $44,092, and the median income for a family was $65,637. Males had an average income of $41,619 versus $28,026 for females. About 5.7% of the labor force was unemployed. The largest occupation categories were 21.2% employed in business, finance, and administration occupations, 18.4% sales and service occupations, and 14.8% in social science, education, government service and religion occupations. Note: percentages may not add up to 100% due to rounding of data samples. Transportation. Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue is traversed by Autoroute 40 and Autoroute 20, which crosses the Ottawa River over the Gallipo Bridge linking it to Isle Perrot. For public transit, the town is served by the Sainte-Anne-de-Bellevue commuter train station on the Vaudreuil-Hudson line. It also covered by the bus network of the Société de Transport de Montréal. Education. The Commission Scolaire Marguerite Bourgeois operates francophone public schools. It operates the École Primaire du Bout de l'Isle. The Lester B. Pearson School Board operates anglophone public schools in the area. It operates MacDonald High School.